Proverbs chapter 5, and my goal was to do the whole chapter tonight, but that's not going to happen now. I'll just introduce it to you tonight, and then we'll pick up next week, and I'll try to do the whole chapter next week. Just give you some introductory thoughts on chapter 5. Let me read a couple verses. It starts out verse 1, "My son, attend unto my wisdom." And so here God has given us wisdom again about a major area of life. "Bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge." And then he goes on to describe the strange woman, if you would. And so in this chapter, God is warning us again about the dangers of immorality. And chapter 5, if you read down through there, it gets detailed about this strange woman. And it's a theme that's repeated over and over. It's been in every chapter that we've read so far, these warnings about immorality. And I think as we go through probably the first 9 chapters, you're going to see it repeated time and time again. Folks, repetition is important. If God mentions it one time, it's important. But if He repeats it, it's doubly important. What if He says it in the first 9 chapters of the book that we're in, that it's repeated? I think He's trying to tell us that there's a danger in this area. How powerful, how treacherous temptation is. And folks, no matter who you are, you need to guard against it. No one ought to ever say, I could not be tempted in that area. If you do, you're headed for a fall. And so God is repeating this time and time again. Repetition is an important element in spiritual growth. If you hear it one time, okay. But if you hear it time and time and time again, sooner or later you're going to catch on and you're going to remember it. And so it's a godly part of training, child training, if you will, or the training of any child of God, no matter what age you are. It's a theme that's repeated. It's described in different terms. In this chapter, it's talking about the strange woman. We're going to look at some of the characteristics of that next week. We ought not ever think that we ought to be left alone to decide our own way. Certainly no child should be left alone to decide his own way. You think if you left a child to decide whether he's going to brush his teeth or not, what do you think he'd do? He probably wouldn't brush his teeth. Give me a Coca-Cola. I'll just drink that. But we know that'd not be good for him. And who matter? There are not but adults in here, and you can't be left to your own way either. Somebody needs to train you. God, the Word of God needs to train you and lead you and guide you. And you need to walk in the ways of God. All we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way. And see, that's bad when we do. We all need to be led in the right way. Not free to choose our own way, but free to choose the way God would have us to go. If we follow our own inclinations, folks, we got an evil nature inside of us. That evil nature has not been eradicated. We just got a new nature that moved in on the inside, and there's a war that takes place between the two. And your own thinking, your own desires, they'll lead you astray. And so that's why it's so important to be in the Word of God. Proverbs talks about child left to himself will bring shame and reproach. And so, listen, if you got godly instructors to teach you, be thankful for it. You might not agree with everything they say, but be thankful for them. What would be the greatest teacher to learn by? So, well, I'll just let you my thought where I'm going. You ever heard anybody say this? Experience is the best teacher. You ever heard that phrase? You think that's true? No, it's not. I don't know if anybody said yes or not. Experience is not the best teacher. It's a good teacher. But if you just follow the Word of God and do right, that'd be the best teacher. Right? Yeah. I got some experiences that have taught me some things that I wish I didn't have. If I'd have paid attention to the Word of God, it would have spared me from some of those things. And but you can learn from experience. Experience is a good teacher. There'll be a lot of scars along the way that'll be there all your life. And so the Word of God. And you come here, it starts out, my son, attend. So don't get the idea that this is just for children. Look at verse 7. He says, hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Who are his children? All of us, no matter what your age is. And so God's going to speak to us through this chapter 5. And the dangers of immorality and how to guard against them. And next week, we'll get into this a little bit further. But nowhere will we be able to finish it tonight. So we'll stop right there. Just introduce it a little bit. Read chapter 5 this week. Read it several times. And then see if some of what I say next week lines up with maybe what God gives you. Our Father, thank you for this day.